GRIDLIFE Circuit Legends at Lime Rock Park. We're in day two, the final day of action in GRIDLIFE's sixth round of 2025. And this is our fourth year here at GRIDLIFE Circuit Legends. We've had the GRIDLIFE Rush Series the last handful of years, and the driver that finished third twice yesterday, Andy Vogel, is the runner-up in the championship, and Cerise caught up with him after being on the podium twice yesterday.
All right, guys, we're checking back in here with Andy Vogel. Andy, yesterday you had a pretty consistent couple sessions. You came in third in the first and third in the second. Do you have any plans on honing in on Hosey and Leach?
I do. We're trying some things this morning, but we busted a splitter in the warm-up, so not looking ideal, and we don't have an extra splitter. Okay. So we'll see if we can make up that 3/10, 4/10 gap without all of our splitter.
Okay. And now explain to the people why that's so significant for these cars out there.
Yeah, it just half of like if you have a piece of the splitter missing, it kind of just messes with the aerodynamics of the car. So now the air is not going to flow as it should underneath the car, which will probably create some push, some understeer. But I know how to drive around it, so we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, this isn't your first rodeo. We know that. We've seen you out here in a couple different fleets, but we're happy to have you here in Rush this weekend. All right, guys, so currently sitting in third. Let's see if you can push back up. You got some stiff competition.
For sure. They're great drivers, but they're making me better, so I can't complain.
Oh, that was very wholesome of you. All right, guys, stay tuned for more. Rush coming up.
Thanks, Cerise. And Andy Vogel, again, strong performances all season long, and especially this weekend, but just hasn't broken through for his first victory of the year yet. You know that weighs on him here, and he's going to be up in the mix again. How brave do you get to try to sneak that first victory in?
Yeah, I was talking to him yesterday about the nuance that he's maybe missing, that last 0.5%, 1% to catch Hosey and Ryan Leach. And, he was just talking about how it's difficult to get the seat time and the sim time to try and find that little bit. And I told him, you got up to speed so fast, and then it's just missing just that little 1%. And it's really hard to find in those cars. So, I'm hoping that he can find it here and through the rest of the season.
Yeah, GRIDLIFE Circuit Legends packing the house here in the paddock and up at the top, the concourse, bringing in JDM Legends in collaboration with Prime NYC. They do a great job there. You see some of the cars there, bottom right of the screen. Really, really neat entries over there. There's a whole bunch of Supras and NSXs and all these poster cars from, when we were all kids looking up at the wall. And we were talking yesterday about how my little personal circuit legend is pacing the field here this weekend, which I'm really excited about. And, of course, the GRIDLIFE Rush Series, we raced 2 races yesterday, which is another additional race than the rest of the series. So we only have 2 more left today. This is Rush Series Race 3 coming up in just a moment's time as the cars start, in a moment, we'll start rolling down towards the exit of pit lane here. When we get the green flag, it's 12 to 15 minutes here, Ito, and for the race starts, we've seen them be really aggressive and then they settle in. So how important is that first lap to establish your position for where you probably end up for the rest of the race?
Yeah, it's super critical, especially for the top 4, where they're kind of really setting their order. And Blair has done a really good job of maintaining his lead heading into turn 1 and through the 1, 2, 3, 4 complex, which is what you see here. That's super critical, and especially if somebody gets on your inside for turn 4, which is the right-hander into Paul Newman straight, they can really leave you behind. So that's the most critical part, is that you try and stay around, you try and maintain overlap through 1, 2, and 3, but then you got to pull into line astern into 4 so that you can maintain your momentum down Paul Newman straight.
Yeah, the curbs here, we talked about these yesterday, those concrete painted or unpainted areas, just bare concrete here at Lime Rock. Those are very, very tall. Mm-hmm. And there's a couple places around here where you can sort of use the rumbles in a Rush SR. That would be the left-hander in particular, where they're ripple curbing, but everywhere else it's smooth curbs, but they're just tall, and when you get up on them, they're going to upset the chassis. So you're probably not going to see drivers really get up on them unless they're trying to avoid an incident. Yeah. But especially here in Big Bend, it's probably the only other place where you could probably use them to your advantage, but in a Rush SR, it's still pretty aggressive down there.
Yeah, in Big Bend, some people put their inside wheel right up against the curb. There's a little bit of a dip there that helps kind of pull them in through the corner. And then really the only inside curb that you really abuse here is the turn 2 inside curbing. A lot of the full cars, the production cars, they take that curbing a lot. I think in these cars, I don't think you can do that. I think you just hit the splitter on the top of the curbing and do some damage there. So I don't think you can use a lot of the curbing in these cars here just because of how big they are.
Yeah, Carson Crystal splitting the field here on the pit lane. And have a look at the weekend points there on the right. Blair Hosey leading with 53. 2 race wins, 25 points each, plus 3 points for qualifying. Ryan Leach is in second place and Andy Vogel in third, but James French not too far away with 33 points in fourth, and Nico Bratz in fifth. We'll have a look at our starting lineup here in just a moment and run you down the grid. There it is, Blair Hosey in the number 8 on the front row with Ryan Leach once again. And starting alongside in row 2 will be Andy Vogel and James French. And then starting alongside in row number 3, it's Nico Bratz and Jason Ayler in 5th and 6th. In 7th place, it's Bryce Mersberger and Nate Hamilton in 8th, rounding out the 4th row. And then in row 5, it's going to be Michael Parati and Ayrton Grimm.
Yeah, and now in 11th, we're going to have TJ Hunt, who's maintained that position throughout the weekend. Brett DiGiacomo in 12th. And then on the 7th row, we've got Gage Hughes in 13th and Matt Wilson in 14th. Then on the 8th row, we've got Lee Keller in 15th, Jeremy Boyson in 16th. And then row 9, we've got Bill Dorrance in 17th and Jake Sanders in 18th. And then finally, row 10, we've got Michael Woodward in 19th and Joseph Tang in 20th.
Yeah, starting in 21st place, it's going to be Paul Klitsch in the number 71. Larry Brady starts 22nd in the number 59. Then it's Jalen Batley in the number 88, starting in 23rd with AJ Campo alongside him in 24th. Then Jeff Hardesty in the 25th spot, and Ethan Alexander rounding out the 13 rows, 26 cars in this third race of the weekend. There's that's Paul Klitsch in the 71. Nico Bratz in a very similar car. There's Jalen Batley. He had a couple mechanical issues that relegated him down the order, but we know how fast he is. He should be a real threat to move his way up at least into the top 10 here in this race.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing whether Mersberger can get back up into the top 5. He had the pace for it based on qualifying, and then he had an issue in race 1, and he's been spending the whole weekend coming back from that. So we'll see whether he can come and bring the fight to Bratz to get into the top 5, and maybe French in 4th.
So again, the other thing to note here with this season-long championship is Ryan Leach has really been commanding of it. Blair Hosey, though, I think is going to be closing in based on the weekend he's had so far. If Blair wins a third race and has the points from winning pole, it becomes really challenging for anyone else to mathematically win the weekend unless he has a disaster of a race 4. So if Blair Hosey is up in the front here, this is going to be and stays there, it's going to be a fantastic weekend for him here at Lime Rock Park. And then he has WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca to look forward to later this year.
Yeah, and I'm curious whether if he keeps this up, whether he can slowly claw back into the championship fight with Ryan Leach. I know he missed 3 races compared to Ryan, but he's been doing so good that I'm curious to see whether he finds a way to get back into that championship fight by the end of the season.
Cars working their way through Big Bend and heading into the left-hander. There's only one left-hand turn on this entire racetrack. There's a slight little kink on the back straightaway, but we don't really call it that. Have a look at Circuit Legends, packed house here with the car concourse and the campers. Basically sold-out crowd over there. There was a lot of energy last night, karaoke and everything. Look at Lime Rock Park with GRIDLIFE presence. We're so thankful to Dickie Regal and all of the shareholders, all the people that make this possible for us to be here. We so appreciate Lime Rock, their hospitality, all the corner workers and the safety workers here that are putting in the effort. They make this truly a great event for us, and we're so excited to be back again this year.
Yeah, I make the 14-hour drive, and it's totally worth it. What a beautiful place in the smack dab in the northern part of the Appalachia, in a kind of valley surrounded by mountains, beautiful green valley. Also, there's some bears around here, apparently.
Yep.
So apparently some corner workers have seen some bears, so it's a really cool spot. Come check it out.
Yeah, pretty cool. Down the hill, lights are off on the pace car. Blair Hosey and Ryan Leach on the front row. Blair in the blue and white, Ryan Leach in the two-face car, the black and white, number 56. Time to go racing at GRIDLIFE Circuit Legends in the penultimate race of the weekend for the GRIDLIFE Rush Series. 26 cars in line, waiting to let loose the 1000cc GSX motorcycle engines. Here we go, green flag, and we're underway. The GRIDLIFE Rush Series at Lime Rock Park.
Yeah, Blair Hosey got a really good start there, and Ryan Leach got a little bit bogged down, and he tried to go up the inside of Ryan, but just couldn't quite make it there into turn 1.
Yeah, so far, so good. I think everybody has kept the cars in the right direction so far. Track gets narrow here on the entrance to turn 3, at least the racing line does. A little bit of side-by-side there. Bryce Mersberger trying to charge his way forward to that white and red number 114. A little bit tight there. Big wiggle from the 31 of Parati, who's underneath Nate Hamilton in the yellow car.
Yeah, Nico Bratz lost out on that start because Mersberger's ahead of him. as they come up into the uphill. Nate Hamilton right behind Nico Bratz, moving up a spot there, and then Jason Ayler also got ahead of Nico Bratz.
Oh, big slide for somebody. I think that was Ayler in the 74. He's going to bottle everybody up.
Three
wide into the downhill, and Bratz steals a spot.
Yeah, great job from Bratz. Let's see, though, if Merzberger is going to draft him down this front straightaway and see if he can make a move into turn one. Hamilton also lost out on that exchange.
This has been fun. Well, a little lock up there for Vogel into the first corner. Nate Hamilton having a look at Merzberger, who tucks the nose into the inside of Bratz, and he takes the spot
move.
back.
Yeah, and now Merzberger's gotten well ahead of him into turn 3 now, and it definitely looks like Vogel's maybe suffering from that broken splitter a little bit with that front lockup.
Oh, Ayler's got trouble, and he forced Merzberger onto the curb. That 74 car's out of control. Bratz is going to try to take advantage of it on the Paul Newman straight, but where do you go? Left, right, center? Into the uphill they go, now line astern again.
This fight from 5th all the way to 10th is super tight, has been tight all series. Looks like Nate had a little bit of a loose moment up the uphill.
That's Parati trying to get to the inside of the pink car, but could not do it. Backed off on the run to West Bend. Little dust kicked up top of the hill. That was Hamilton, Parati, and Ayrton Grimm, and the 121 cars in that conversation as well. Crossing the stripe here, Hosey and Leach, less than half a second between them. Have a look at the championship points as they run. Look at the gain for Vogel, 324 points, but again, it's not a gain on Leach. It is a gain on French, though, on Bratz, who's a little bit deeper in the field.
Yeah, and it seems like Leach is hanging with Blair just a little bit better in this race, and French is kind of putting a gap to Andy. Andy clearly suffering from that aerodynamic loss from that front splitter. It'll be interesting to see whether Leach can stay with Hosey for the rest of the race.
And we're hearing reports in the paddock of sprinkling. You see there's a tiny little cell that's in the area here, so we're getting a little bit of precip in the paddock. I don't know that it'll be enough to stick. I don't know it'll be enough to affect the race, but certainly can be a distraction if you start seeing those raindrops on your helmet visor.
Yeah, absolutely. And somebody went for a ride down the downhill and left a bunch of dust in the air. And again, it's still Hosey, Leach, French, and Andy line astern, with Ayler taking up the 5th place spot. Kind of a cork in the bottle for 5th through 10th place.
Yeah, this battle's all over the racetrack. That's why the GRIDLIFE Rush Series has been so thrilling. And Ryan Leach has been denied so far this weekend. He was denied all 4 races at Road America, I should say. But look at best lap, 28 thousandths better than Blair Hosey. So that's advantage Leach right now, is at least on the timesheets.
Looks like there's a fight heading into turn 3 that was somewhere in the teens for position. But yeah, I mean, Ryan looks like he's a lot closer to Blair in this race, so maybe he can catch up, maybe he can make it a fight for the win here in race 3.
Navigating around.
Oh, there's a car that's in the backwards at the exit of turn 4. We'll see if that's going to end up needing a yellow to get recovered.
See that, so I was looking away when you pointed that out, so we'll have to see it next. Oh, there it is, 13, Elite Kellert.
Yeah, so that's good. The race is going to stay green here.
Oh, big wiggle for Hosey. Really big wiggle on the brakes. He got it wound down somehow, though, but that's about as much as you can push it before the back end steps out. He's got great car control, understands these cars well, obviously.
Yeah.
Being, one of the people involved with creating the Rush Auto Works brand, but that car is sliding around a lot right now.
Yeah, from an outside observer, somebody who has experience with IMSA aerodynamics, these cars look very unstable in a big pitch. So it looks like they're a little bit front heavy in terms of front aero balance when they get into the braking zone, and that makes them really loose on that entry, which I see Blair Hosey takes advantage of a lot.
Yeah, they have a short wheelbase too, so once you get them sideways, again, they have a lot more controllability than you'd expect based on driver feedback, and you've seen a lot of yaw in them be controllable, but beyond a certain point, it just gets challenging because of physics, so.
Yeah, absolutely, and Lime Rock Park is a medium speed track. All of these turns require just a dab of brakes to get the car pivoted and then back on throttle to stabilize. That's really hard to maintain when you've got a car that's a little bit pitch sensitive like these.
And again, watching Blair, that car's been doing that all weekend long, and he hasn't lost it yet, but he really seems like he's on the edge of what's possible to maintain. Trouble on the back straightaway. It's the 148 of Joseph Tang, who's found himself trackside, and it doesn't look, that's a strange spot for it to go off, and yellow flag is waving.
Yeah, big waving. He's right in the middle of the track there at the end of the Paul Newman straight. Let's see if he can get the car going again. It's going to be difficult, though. He has to make sure he stays going forward, because if he goes backwards there, it's going to be a real problem.
Yeah, and again, he can't leave him like that for very
there
long.
At West Bend.
Ooh, that was dicey.
Yeah, just a little bit held up. Ryan Leach there a little bit, but doesn't seem like enough. The gaps seem about the same.
So field comes out of the final corner, and the double yellows are out full course yellow for the 148 of Joseph Tang, stuck on the Paul Newman straight, and the pace car deployed right off the nose of Blair Hosey.
Important to note, James French has the fastest lap here right now. He just set it on this very last lap, so French clearly has found some pace here in this race. Let's see if the restart can bring them back together and see if they can fight Blair Hosey for the win here.
Yeah, so the car stopped here is Joseph Tang, the number 148. You mentioned James French just running his best lap of the race.
Yeah, top 3 within a second. We haven't seen that in the other races yet, so that's going to be really fun to watch when this safety car ends. Should be a quick safety car. It seems like that car is easy to recover, so hopefully we'll get quite a few more laps of green racing.
And Lime Rock Park does an exceptional job with the recoveries. What they'll do is they'll just grab this car and likely just drag it to the chicane. And that's enough out of the way that they can just drag it there, and then we can resume racing, although they might take the opportunity if they've already got it on the hook to pull it all the way back to the pit lane here. But plenty of time left to go. We're still only about halfway through this race, and we got a yellow with only 5 minutes to go in IBOC GLTC and did get restarted. So I would say that it's likely that we will see a restart, but how many laps left in the race when we get it is the question.
Yeah, this should, I bet we'll get, at least 3 or 4 laps here at minimum, just based on where that car is, how easy they are to extricate from the track. I'm curious what happened. I don't know if he just pulled off from a mechanical or if he had some sort of spin or issue. It's a weird angle.
Yeah,
where he got stationary.
It doesn't. I mean, there are some tire marks there, but I can't tell if those are from him or not. But it doesn't look like there's any significant bodywork damage. So again, it could have just kind of spiraled into that spot. But it's a tough place to go off at the speeds these cars are going and not hit something. It doesn't look like he did. So.
Yeah, it was down basically at the end of the Paul Newman straightaway. So maybe the car just gave out on him. He was trying to limp it home, and he just didn't make it quite far enough.
Tried to roll downhill. The track kind of cambers to the right there, too, so maybe that was an attempt to get off the course. But drivers are weaving back and forth, keep their tires nice and clean for the almost inevitable restart, I'd have to say, with how much time we've got left on the board and how easy it is to get this track cleared out with an exceptional safety team like Lime Rock Parks.
How's the weather looking, Kyle?
Let's have another look at it here, because, again, we were told that there were some sprinkles in the paddock. But again, it's just sort of dissipating around us, so I don't know that it's going to stick around long enough to impact us there. You see just high above the clouds. I mean, there are clouds in the area. It could sprinkle, but it's not going to be a sustained rain to make the track wet. But again, a distraction for sure. And then when you go off into the corner and you have a wiggle and you start to get in your mind, hey, maybe there is some sprinkles, right? It reduces your confidence.
Absolutely, yeah. And as a driver, when you're really pushing it, and then you see those sprinkles in your windshield, or in these cases their helmet visor, it really starts making you questions like, okay, is this next corner going to have all the grip I expect? Is this next corner going to have it? And you kind of have to start. You kind of get braver and braver. You just kind of try and suppress that feeling just a little bit until the car tells you that, hey, the grip is different now, and you just hope that it tells you in a nice enough way before it does it in a really mean way.
Yeah, mean way for sure.
Mean being, anyway.
I know exactly what you mean. Just a note, I mentioned this earlier, but the marbles on the racetrack are significant, and Juliet, who's driving the pace car, mentioned that the traction control was going off basically the entire time from how slippery it was on the marbles. And for those that aren't familiar with the term marbles, Ito, explain to those that are maybe new to racing what that means.
Yeah, marbles, aka OPR, other people's rubber. Basically, it's the little balls of rubber that roll off the tire as it's being shaved effectively across the surface of the track. So as you lean into the turn, the tire grips up, and there's this mechanical friction between the tire rubber and the rough road, and that does a little bit of shaving here and there of the rubber that's coming off the top of the top surface of the tire. That turns into marbles. They're called marbles because they can look like balls. So and then again, other people's rubber. And then because you take the racing line, and the physics take that rubber that's shaved away to the outside of the line. And so what happens is, especially when you're trying to pass and you're trying to make a move, especially on the outside, you can end up in those marbles, and then basically they get in the way between the fresh rubber on your tire and the road, and that leads to you losing grip. And so it makes you slower. It can lead to other problems. So yeah, that's that's the extremely too physical description of what marbles are.
It's like dragging an angry cat to the vet, just grabbing it by the scruff of the neck and jamming it in the crate.
Doesn't look like there's anything wrong with it, so it might have just been a mechanical. Yeah, it's better than flatbedding some big Corvette or Subaru or Honda or something like that.
Yeah, just grab it by the scruff of the neck and drag it back to the paddock and.
Come here.
Yeah.
You're in timeout.
Owen Horse and I were joking last year at Road America how it's like from Toy Story, the claw.
the claw.
Reaching down to grab it.
Yeah.
Lightweight cars, easy enough to snack. Lights are out on the pace car. That means we're going green next time by here, Ito.
Yeah, this will be a really fun to watch. Did somebody get ahead of Andy? That was weird. Andy wasn't fourth in line there. I think.
James French has scored third now.
Yeah, we'll see if we get another angle. But definitely there was a car between, there's a car between French. Oh, it could be the lap car. It's the lap car that Andy didn't quite clear. So yeah, that's a little bit of a disadvantage for Andy there for sure. But we'll see if James and Ryan can stick with Blair Hosey on this restart. Yeah,
here we go. Pace car is going to head down through the downhill. And we have got about 3 minutes left on the clock, so it should be 3 or 4 laps. And Blair Hosey in command. He's staying pretty far driver's left right now. That could leave him vulnerable unless he sort of cuts over to the right. You see him cheating over there now. Green flag. We're back underway in the GRIDLIFE Rush Series. Ryan Leach got a nice run. He's going to go driver's left. Battle for the top spot for the first time this weekend. Leach has overlap on the number 8.
Oh, and Merzberger showed his nose to Andy but backed out of it. And let's see if Ryan can stay with overlap heading to turn 3. Doesn't look like he has quite enough there.
Oh, he's in there. Ryan Leach jams the car up the inside. They make contact. Pushes the 8 of Hosey offline and takes the lead away.
This is going to bring James French into it. The more they fight, the more James is going to get into it. But Ryan Leach has cleared Blair Hosey, and now Blair has to worry about James French in his mirrors.
Yeah, that's the first time since our last festival event, GRIDLIFE Midwest Festival, that Ryan Leach has tasted the lead of a race and been able to keep it, because he was up front battling with James French at Road America, ended up losing that race. We're coming down the hill here, and it's about an 8 car length advantage now as they come up onto the front straight.
Yeah, great lap from Ryan Leach. He really turned on and got ahead of Blair Hosey, and now he's going to try and make the gap. James French has fallen behind just a little bit from these two. Blair getting real sideways in the braking zone of turn 1.
Yeah, there's a lot of drivers battling midfield here as well. Big lunge sideways for the number 8. He gathered it all up. Spin, turn 1. Brent DiGiacomo's around at the top of the screen there, and I'm not sure if there was contact, but there were 2 and 3 wide there for a moment. He'll get back rolling, didn't hit anything, but down the order he will drop, and that is unfortunate because he was P11 right ahead of Michael Parati.
Yeah, he was having a really good race there, just got a little bit loose into turn 1 and had himself a spin. Again, Ryan Leach though, 37 thousandths advantage in terms of lap time. So again, they're so close, but Ryan seems to have figured something out for this race to get ahead of Blair Hosey.
Well, they're going to run out of laps here pretty shortly. Down through turn 7, Hosey trying to reel the 56 back in, the championship leader. White flag, last lap around Lime Rock Park. 1.5 miles left to sort this one out.
Yeah, let's see whether Ryan just has to put together a clean lap. Blair's really pushing the braking zone there. You can see that Blair's really confident on the brakes. He's trying to make up room on the brakes, but it might be setting him up badly for the rest of the turn, especially 1-2, which is a decreasing radius corner. You want to make sure you can hit that late apex.
Through turn 3 and 4, it's 4 car lengths now, and I think his best opportunity is gone, but he's just got to charge, be braver in the uphill, be braver in West Bend. But Ryan Leach has so much experience in open wheel cars that he's really knows how to trust the downforce in a last lap scenario like this.
Yeah, absolutely, and unless he makes a big error here, he's done a really great job. He took advantage of the restart and took the lead from Blair Hosey. Looking good there. I think they're clear. Ryan Leach is going to take the win here in race 3.
Yeah, down the hill here, coming back to the checkered flag. Ryan Leach, for the first time since Midwest Festival, will pick up a win in the GRIDLIFE Rush Series. Leach, Hosey, French, Vogel, top 4. Bryce Merzberger finishes in 5th place.
Thumbs up from Blair. He likes it. I think Ryan also giving the thumbs up. That was a fun race for both of them. I'm sure they're glad to have to race each other like that. It's fun to watch, and it's fun to be a part of.
Yeah, and again for Blair Hosey, you might say, well, didn't they run into each other? But Leach had the overlap, had the opportunity, and I think he could have done it without the touch there. And it was just the slightest of touches.
It was close.
Touched?
Yeah, it was very close. It wasn't egregious at all. It was hard fought, but you know, I think Ryan made a really good move there, really kind of forced Blair into the defensive there.
And look how the weekend points shape up here. It's going to be Hosey by 74 over Leach, so that's closes things quite a bit here as we get closer to the end of this thing.
Yeah, it gives him hope. And Volkel, he's now only 1 point ahead of James French. So, you know, another result like this, and Volkel might end up losing the podium spot to James French in the weekend. Yeah,
really, really fun to watch. Let's have a look at race results here for the Rush Series race number 3. If we can get them, I think I might have waited a little too long for it. My apologies there, but we saw the top 5 with the 56 of Ryan Leach getting it done. And I guess we'll have a look at highlights here in just a moment's time. That was a fun race. Let's have a look at the highlights of GRIDLIFE Rush Series race number 3 of the weekend. And on the start, it was Hosey and Leach that were side by side, as they have been all race long. On the start, a little bit of smoke and argy-bargy in the background, but everyone kept it straight here early on, Ito. And look at this, up over the crest. Watch the cars just get light over the top there.
Ooh, oh, that was De Giacomo with air underneath his front tires.
Yeah, and then the caution came out for Joseph Tang, stopped on the backstretch, and then on the restart, on the outside, Ryan Leach grabbed some overlap there, swung around the outside, and oops, almost gave it back to Blair Hosey there, but held on to it and wins the GRIDLIFE Rush Series race number 3.